put my documents out. Everything's on the record. I defy someone to come on and show a fact that I got wrong, but they're not providing any evidence that I have a fact wrong in the story. And the reason why is you can click on every one of my stories and get the documents, get the transcripts, get the videotape, and see that what I reported is true.
Back in October, for weeks, investigative journalist John Solomon has defended the accuracy of his reporting on Ukraine, Rudy Giuliani, Joe Biden, and more. Work that was called into question again this week by Democrats on Capitol Hill.
Mr. Lutsenko, the former prosecutor general in Ukraine, has made various claims about various Americans, right?
Correct.
You are unaware of any factual basis for his accusations against Ambassador Yovanovitch, right?
Correct.
He also was a source for an article by John Solomon in The Hill, right?
That is correct.
And you said that key elements of that article, as well as his accusations, are false, right?
Correct.
George Kent, the senior State Department official in charge of Ukraine, has referred to the story as complete poppycock. It was Republican Devin Nunes who came to John Solomon's defense.
Solomon's reporting on Burisma, Hunter Biden, and Ukraine election meddling has become inconvenient for the Democratic narrative, and so the media is furiously smearing and libeling Solomon.
Here now, John Solomon, investigative journalist and Fox News contributor. I think what every journalist doesn't want, John, is to become the story.
Exactly.
And you have become the story here.
Yep.
Why?
I'll own my story. Listen, every fact that I have is out for people to see. Still, no one in these hearings today could cite a specific fact. They'll say Lutsenko said something we don't disagree with it. That's like saying every reporter that reported Adam Schiff said there was no whistleblower contact, and then he did. All those reporters are bad. That's silly. It's crazy. Every fact I reported is online. Tomorrow, I'm going to take Lieutenant Colonel Vindman's testimony. I'm going to take the 28 facts that he said are wrong and put them out there. Let people decide. Look at every fact. Click on them. You're going to find out what I reported was accurate.
So you worked for The Hill and for The Post.
Yes.
The Post is saying that, you know, they're calling you the man that Trump trusts for news on Ukraine.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, you know, that comes with some attitude, the way that's written.
Yeah, right. Listen, I'm probably being punished a lot because the president's mentioned me, likes my reporting, but I don't report because it makes the president happy. I report because I think truth needs to get out there. You take a look at my career. All throughout my career, I've reported against the grain. When people were saying we were sucker punched by 9/11, I showed the government failed to connect the dots. When people were saying there was a Russia collusion hoax, I showed it was a Russian misinformation thing. You heard Fiona Hill today say for the first time Christopher Steele's dossier was Russian disinformation. Yeah. That started with my reporting. I believe in the test of time. When people look at these facts 6 months from now, we're going to get the truth.
Let's watch this exchange. This is David Holmes on Lutsenko and Rudy Giuliani. Watch.
The three priorities of security, economy, and justice, and our support for Ukrainian democratic resistance to Russian aggression became overshadowed by a political agenda promoted by former New York City Mayor Rudy Giuliani and a cadre of officials operating with a direct channel to the White House. That change began with the emergence of press reports critical of Ambassador Yovanovitch and machinations by then Prosecutor General Lutsenko and others to discredit her.
So she also complained about this. She said there was a campaign of stories. She didn't understand where it was coming from that started coming out that were derogatory about her. Right. And you were part of those stories.
Yeah, I wrote the stories. I was part of them. I wrote
the story. Yeah. So what do you say to her?
Well, first off, Fiona Hill said today that this was a Russian misinformation campaign, my story. Yuri Lutsenko was a political prisoner under the Russian regime of Yovanovitch. Our State Department tried to get him free. When he was named Prosecutor General, we applauded him. Joe Biden called him a solid guy. Now, all of a sudden, because he took on the ambassador, he's a bad guy. After we applauded him for all these years, stood by him.
But hasn't that been his... I mean, I even heard Rudy Giuliani say, like, you know, I don't actually trust him so much anymore, Lutsenko. I mean, he's gone back and forth in terms of whether...
Never gone back and forth on the core allegation of what he said. He has always said, and the New York Times confirmed it this week, I met with the Ambassador Yovanovitch, and she was pressuring me not to prosecute certain things. Now, let's go to the transcripts that the Democrats gave us. George Kent identified 5 people in Ukraine that the State Department pressured prosecutors and said, do not touch these people. All 5 of those people are the people Lutsenko named in my interview. Why don't people focus on those facts?
So it comes out, she got visibly upset.
Yeah.
She said, I did not have a do not prosecute list.
Okay.
But it sounds like you're saying, and from what I read, he said it wasn't a list per se.
It was.
But they talked about people.
they went over 9 names in the course of an hour meeting, and the message was clear. Don't touch these people. And the State Department confirms they delivered that message. How can this be such a big factual dispute? Now we're debating the word list. She delivered the message. She said so herself. I was pushing the Ukrainians not to go after certain people. Can't name them. He went through each one. Each one of those names are the names that were in my stories. My stories have been confirmed by this reporting, but people don't want to look at it because people use headline-grabbing sound bites at the beginning of their speech. And then later on, they go, oh, no, that's true, that's true, that's true, that's true. That's what happened in these hearings. They smeared me, just like Joe McCarthy smeared people. And then they came back and said, oh, no, that's true, that's true, that's true. Go look at the
All right,
transcript.
well, as you know, The Hill is, so they're doing that with your pieces. They're going to go
Welcome.
through them one bit at a time and, fact check all of them. You obviously are under a lot of scrutiny, and we thank you very much for coming in tonight, for answering questions and shedding some light on it.
Appreciate
Thank
it.
you, John
Thanks.